Hi, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Today. I'm your host, Tom Barkey, and our guest today is Mr. Daryl Halls, who is the Executive Director of the Solano Transportation Authority, otherwise known as STA. Welcome, Daryl.
Hi, Tom. Good to see you.
Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
As you know, our show covers many issues related to seniors, and the STA has a tremendous program for Solano Mobility, which offers all kinds of opportunity for transportation and mobility for seniors. Is there a little bit of overview you could share with us in that regard?
Yes. Well, as you know, we're the transportation authority for the county, so we work with Vallejo and all the cities. And one of the growing challenges is we have a lot of seniors, a lot more seniors, a bigger senior population. And one of their challenges is mobility. How do they get around as they get older? They may lose the ability to drive, so they're looking at different options. Some of them may have not tried transit before. And so recognizing those challenges, we've been working closely with the local transit operator, SolTrans, and the local communities to come up, kind of pull together all the programs that are available in this county right now for seniors to get around. And so we have a website, telephone number called for Solano Mobility. We'll put the information up on the screen. And it's really a resource so that seniors can continue to stay active. And I think we all want to encourage the seniors to stay engaged in the community, shop, work, play, have fun, see their friends. And there's a lot of options to do that, both locally and throughout the county. And so that's what we want to do, is make sure they're aware of that resource. They can go on the website, they can make a phone call to talk to a live person. And no matter what they're, whether they're active or they maybe have some disabilities, or they have a relative who maybe is blind or have hard of hearing, they will help them get the right ride, whether that's through a paratransit service or a Faith in Action senior driver program. If they maybe want to try to get back into driving, there's actually a safe driving program for the California Highway Patrol. So there's a lot of programs out there that will help them out, and we encourage them to, try that resource and continue to stay active.
Mm-hmm. So that would also involve taxi script, possibly, and
Yes.
Uber and Lyft, and
Yes, we've got a taxi script program, which is a countywide program that the way it works is, if this is for the disabled, if you have a disability and you're certified, so you actually go through that process and you recognize a disabled person, you then can use the taxi script program. You go to your city every quarter, they have script, and that allows them to call a taxi company, take a taxi ride, use their script. It's a good value. Then they can, it's very flexible. They can do it when they want to go. It's unlike paratransit, which is a little bit more restrictive. They can use that. They can go from Vallejo to Fairfield, for example, and go to the mall. They could use it to go to a doctor's appointment. So it gives, again, the disabled community opportunities to use script. Then we also have a local program. There's a local taxi program, I believe, in SolTrans for local, between Benicia and Vallejo. Folks there can use the local script or taxi program.
so for people like me that are baby boomers,
Yes.
back in the 60s, shows like Laugh In and things like that had Go-Go Girls.
Yes.
And so you have a program called
Goldie Hawn.
Go-Go. Yeah, Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, Go-Go Grandparents.
Go-Go Grandparents.
It's actually a new program. It was actually started by a young man whose grandmother was having trouble. She was getting older, getting around. And so the way it works is it's very similar to if you've ever used Uber or Lyft. They're like a concierge. They help your grandparent, your grandfather, grandmother, get that ride. If you do not have a phone app, which a lot of seniors don't, you can actually call them and they'll set the ride up for you. And it's just like a typical Lyft ride or an Uber ride, where it's very convenient, it's flexible. They can help, they can get that ride to you. What they actually do is they check in with you as the grandson or granddaughter. Will help make sure that you're aware where they're going. So maybe they're taking a shopping trip and they haven't done it. They'll make sure they get picked up, they get to their appointment, they get back. And it's like using Lyft or Uber. So it's very convenient. Again, it's another program to help them keep the mobility.
Do you know how Uber and Lyft compare with regular taxi or comparable?
Well, again, we use taxis for the taxi program. I think Lyft and Uber is really growing in this county. We currently have a Lyft pilot at STA. We're working with a group of employers to help people do that last mile. A lot of transit areas, a lot of transit service stops and then you can't get the last mile. Maybe you're going to your job or whatever. And so typically Uber and Lyft is less expensive. But again, taxis work, Uber, Lyft works. I think you're going to see, though, they're called transportation network companies. They're going to continue to grow. Why? Because they provide flexibility and convenience. And especially in an area like Solano, which is not as large as, for example, San Francisco, businesses and homes are spread out, and so transit doesn't work everywhere. And so it creates that area where you can't get transit service. You can have a Lyft or an Uber driver make that last mile connection. Another great thing is, if you're out having fun, let's say you're wine tasting or going to a microbrewery like Mare Island Brewing Company, you want to get home, you can call a Lyft driver or a taxi cab and not drive, and that wouldn't be safe. And so, again, it has a lot of value, different options.
Mm-hmm. Is there a website or a phone number for those programs?
Yes, there is. I don't have it memorized, but it's called Solano Mobility, or solanomobility.org. I think you're going to see on the website, I think it's solanomobility.ca.gov. And then we do have a telephone number, which is 1-800-535-6883. And as I said, there's a live person there every day from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. There'll be a live person there. There's the website, of course, 24 hours, and they'll follow up with you. And like I said, there's a live customer service rep who will actually work with you, and they'll tailor a trip for you if you need to. There's also what we call travel training, which for people that have never tried transit, sometimes a little bit new. Maybe you're going to go from Vallejo to the mall in Fairfield and you're not quite sure how to make the connection. There's a travel trainer in the Vallejo area through SolTrans that will actually come out, take the trip with you, show you how to do it, how to pay for your fare, get on the bus, come back, what the time schedules are, and kind of walk you through that process. So it's very designed to be kind of customer friendly.
So your website for STA would have that information,
Yeah.
and also
Yeah,
the
if you
link to SolTrans?
Yes, we are linked to SolTrans and all the operators, so there's information. You can go to our website and find out about SolTrans. If it's something that, like a ride that SolTrans would provide, then we may set you up with a SolTrans travel trainer, for example. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the services may be something that's local, where it's a local bus in SolTrans. So we don't favor one versus the other. We're just there to try to help you have your mobility, and if SolTrans can provide that ride, great. We'll do that.
Are there any programs that you work with that need volunteers?
Yeah, there are. I think the two I would think of, one is the travel training. I think of talking to SolTrans, they could use travel trainers. These are people that are comfortable, they may know how to use transit or would like to use transit, and once they learn transit, they become an ambassador. So they actually become the travel trainer or the ambassador that helps people use those trips. Another program is called Faith in Action. We have a partnership with Faith in Action. Dr. Fuentes, they need volunteer drivers who actually drive seniors, I think, over the age of 60, and they actually take trips. We contract with them to provide services for seniors, and they're always looking for volunteer drivers.
Mm-hmm. There's a similar program in Napa County called Molly's Angels.
Yes,
I think.
yes, I've heard of it.
So if anybody that's watching the show is interested in volunteering, they could go to your website.
Yeah.
And hook up with the Faith in Action or something like that?
Yeah, if they're interested, they could let us know, and we'll put them in touch with Faith in Action. If they want to volunteer, they can call the call center, and then they'll follow up with them and make sure that they get the connection.
So STA handles congestion management, if you will, for the whole county. And most counties in the North Bay have a congestion management agency, and most people aren't aware of those agencies and what they do.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about
Yes.
STA and
Sure.
what they do?
Well, we were formed by the 7 cities in the county so that we could do several things. One is to do countywide planning, coordinate with agencies like Caltrans. Caltrans, of course, is a state agency that functions and operates the highway system. And so one of our jobs is to work with them. It's also one of our jobs is to bring more money into the county. So there's a lot of lobbying where we go to Washington, D.C., Sacramento, the Bay Area, and make sure that federal, state, and regional dollars come here for priorities that we have. And so my leaders are the mayors, like Mayor Sapian from Vallejo is one of my board members. So all the mayors and a member of the County Board of Supervisors who I report to, and they set priorities. So we do planning. We also deliver projects. About 10 years ago, I think there was a dissatisfaction that some of the big projects weren't being done fast enough and efficient enough and responsive enough. So we now actually deliver projects, whether it's environmental documents, construction management. And then third, we do programs like we've been talking about, some of the senior programs, disabled programs. We also do, for example, Safe Routes to Schools. So we've been partnering with the school districts like Vallejo to help them make it safer for their kids to walk to school, bike to school. Again, it's the same thing, encouraging mobility, people being active. So it's part of its safety, part of its mobility. So we partnered very successfully with Vallejo. We're recently doing some engineering projects around some of the local schools, and we've been partnering with those schools and the teachers and the parents and the kids. So those are some of the things that we do, and that's why these programs are coming to, our job is to help this county get to where they need to go, do it safely, and be active.
Well, I know that your agency is responsible for a large percentage of the transportation improvements that we all use every day. And, you know, example would be the 680 interchange.
Correct.
Truck scale, maybe you could give us a rundown on some of the other things.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of improvements on I-80, not a big surprise. So we've been working on, we did the eastbound truck scale several years ago. So we did the funding, the design, everything up to construction. The current phase up by Jameson Canyon widening was a project we designed, and we pulled the funding together. The interchange of 8680 is a 7-phase project. What the public's seeing is the wrap up of phase 1. We're actively lobbying for phases 2 and 3. We're also designing an express lane all the way. Eventually, we wanted to go from the Carquinez Bridge in Vallejo all the way to Yolo County, but we're doing it in phases. So right now we're up in the Fairfield-Vacaville area working on that. And we also work with the city of Vallejo on local projects. So as you know, we have the real nice downtown parking structure. That was something that we got the funding for. The city built it, but we partnered with them. The Cortola Park and Ride lot was a project that we started with Vallejo, ended up working with SolTrans, and now you have a nice parking lot that will support transit. And then we're working with the city right now in Caltrans on trying to do plan improvements on 37, which has a lot of challenges. Flooding and adaptation, traffic, it's quite a challenge. And so we're working with the surrounding counties, but also Vallejo to come up with a game plan for 37. So and we also do very local projects. If you're familiar with the Bay Trail Vine Trail, which is a big project up in Napa County, having a class 1 all the way down the Napa Valley into Vallejo to the waterfront. We just helped the city land about a $4 million grant. So in the next couple of years, the Vallejo residents are going to see the Bay Trail Vine Trail happen in their city. The city's going to build it. We got the funding for it. And it's going to be a nice trail going from the waterfront in Vallejo all the way to the American Canyon border. So that should be a nice local project. Again, active transportation. They can bike it, they can walk it. Good project.
And that'll be a class 1 trail?
It'll be a class 1, most of it. There's a couple areas that are tight, or might be a little tighter, but primarily it's a class 1 attractive project. Yeah.
So that'll come basically adjacent to Broadway from American Canyon Road, or?
I think it comes down, parts of it come down 29 or Sonoma Boulevard. By the waterfront, it goes right from Wilson Avenue, where there's currently a bike pedestrian project that kind of stops. It'll pick it up from there on the off-ramp, cut over, it goes Sonoma Boulevard. I'd have to look it up on the details on a map, but we can get that for you. And then it will go eventually up to the American Canyon line at 29. So it comes down 29 in Napa. It'll connect there, but I think it does deviate to Broadway at one point.
Yeah, it comes across by the White Slough.
Yes.
Over on the frontage road to Wilson Avenue,
Yes.
and then all the way down to the ferry building.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. You'll be able to walk from downtown all the way to Napa County, or bike. That's the idea. You could actually, eventually when it's done, you'll be able to bike from the waterfront of Vallejo all the way up the Napa Valley and back. And then people in Napa can bike all the way down to the waterfront, which is great.
Yeah, that's going to be a really
Yeah, it's a good
big
project.
deal.
And it's actually both part of the Bay Trail and part of what's called Napa's Vine Trail. It's part of that, so it's going to end up in Vallejo.
Have there been any recent discussions between Napa and Solano County regarding possibly making a connection from the Vallejo Ferry to the wine train?
By rail? About 10 years, maybe about 12 years ago, we did a rail study with Napa and Solano where we identified the rail facilities. We've been talking about updating that, because back then it was kind of a long-range vision of what the potential is. And at the time, there wasn't identified that there would be the ridership to justify. This is, again, 13, 14 years ago. Things are changing pretty rapidly. I mean, highway improvements are not keeping up. It's going to be difficult to do that. We did start bus service between Napa and Solano. It goes from Sassoon City to Napa, called the Vine 21. Its ridership's growing every year. There is bus connections right now, and I think the good news is there is rail right away there. So we were talking about updating that study to see what the potential is. Now, as you know, the wine train folks have talked about running some type of a recreational combination commuter run. That's out there. We now have Smart Rail to the west in Marin and Sonoma, which is just about to start. And then we have the Capital Corridors over in Sassoon City, which runs a very good intercity. So that's going to be interesting. Vallejo's kind of in the middle of that. You've got the rail tracks to Mare Island and downtown. You've got a potential connection to American Canyon and the Fairfield. So I think that we're kind of at that time where we need to take another look at it and see what the potential is. So I think in the future, you're going to see more and more emphasis on rail. It's becoming an emerging priority for the state, and if that means the state's priority, funding may follow.
At one point, the city of Benicia was looking at doing a rail facility or rail spur to Lake Herman Road area.
Yes.
Is that a dead project, or is that still?
Yeah, the
out a few
Benicia, I mean, a few years ago, maybe about 10 or 12 years ago, we were looking at where would new rail stations occur, because we are part of the Capital Corridor system. Sassoon City has the only station. And so the priority at that time was to do the Fairfield-Vacaville station, which is being constructed right now and should be open later this year. That'll be the second station in the county. The next station at the time was Benicia. And Benicia has gone through a couple, they looked at ferry service, they looked at rail service, they looked at express bus service. And then after a lot of deliberation, they've opted to pursue more bus service. So their building was called the Benicia Bus Hub right off of 680 in Lake Herman. And so, Lake Herman, industrial 680. That's under construction now, should be just about ready to wrap up. It's actually usable by the public, they're just finishing the bathrooms. That's where we have a new express bus plan. That's going to be stopping right there. So there's going to be a connection to Benicia that will feed both BART and Up County with a lot more frequency. We have a new bus service plan in play. So Benicia's kind of focused on that, and they're not really focused right now on rail.
Which agency will operate that bus service?
It's right now operated by FAST, and at least temporarily they'll continue to operate it. FAST operates half the express routes, SolTrans the other half.
So you'll be able, the Vallejoans will be able to go to that location on 680 and then take a bus to BART?
Yeah, you'll be able to, right now Vallejoans can do that on what's called the 78. So you can catch from Cortola, you can catch the 78 through Benicia, and it goes all the way to Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill BART. That will continue. We're going to be changing the structure a little bit, but that route will continue. What's going on right now is we do a really good job of getting people out of the county, getting them to BART. We don't do a good job of moving them within the county. We're doing a new bus plan which will consolidate the routes. So Fairfield right now operates 3 routes along 680 and 80 that do different things. It's going to become one major route that will go all the way from Sacramento to BART, with stops in Benicia, Fairfield at the college, at what they call FTC, the Transportation Center, Vacaville, Dixon, Davis, Sacramento. You get on one bus, go to all those places. So if you're Vallejo residents, you can connect to the Lake Herman stop, or the Industrial Way stop, and then go in either direction. So there's more connection.
That sounds pretty good.
Well, it's good. Hopefully improve mobility. So that way when you take go-go grandparents or you take a travel trainer, you get on one bus, not have to make 3 changes. You just get on one bus and you go all the way.
And then you can go, go, go.
Go, go, go. And it's really going to operate like a bus line. And actually, not a bus line, but a BART line. And we're actually going to change the numbers to colors, because if you know, BART has colors. So we're going to have 3 colors, yellow, blue, and red. And if you get on the yellow line, then you're on the yellow line bus, and that connects to, not coincidentally, the BART line that's yellow. So the BART line, the yellow, will go to the bus line that's yellow. The BART line that's red will go to the red line in Solano. And the red line in Solano will go right through Vallejo to the fairgrounds, which it doesn't really do a good job now. It'll go to the waterfront. It'll take you all the way to Fairfield and end up at the Sassoon train station. So you could actually leave, catch a bus in Vallejo, and go to Amtrak and Sassoon on one bus. So right now you couldn't do that.
So Vacaville has their own bus system.
Local buses, yes.
And FAST for Fairfield and
Sassoon.
And Vallejo and Benicia with
SolTrans,
SolTrans.
yes.
So Rio Vista and Dixon,
They have local services also.
do they have their own
Yeah, they have like local, they're not
shuttles?
fixed. Yeah, they're like demand response type shuttles. Yep.
So the coordination of these routes that you just talked about are done by STA, or?
Yeah, the STA board coordinates the intercity routes. The local community routes are done by the local agency. We're responsible, because we have all the elected officials and we do the countywide planning. We decide where the express buses are going to go. We try to help promote them through, again, the call center. You can call the call center for seniors. You can also call for commuter services. And then right now we're doing the new service plan that's going to our board July 12th, which if they agree, we'll consolidate those routes, and then we'll work with SolTrans and FAST to make that happen over the next couple of years. But that's the direction. But again, anything related to service changes, we help fund the bus replacements, all those kind of things go through the STA board.
Are there subcommittees of SolTrans that are available for the public to participate?
For SolTrans or STA?
STA, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have advisory committees. We've got a senior and disabled advisory committee that if people are interested, they can contact STA and we'll give them an opportunity to participate. They're the ones that talk about all these senior programs we've been talking about. It's not a coincidence why we have some of these programs. It came out of very extensive planning processes a few years ago, which we're right in the process of updating.